What's up, everyone? It's Hailey Salvian and Sean Gentili here with you for another episode of the Athletic Hockey Show. Today, we're going to spend some time talking about the unfortunately timed injuries around the NHL as Olympics get closer and closer. Why Jackson LaCombe over Lane Hutson? We'll chat about that shortly. Then Julian McKenzie is going to join us, chat about the Ottawa Senators and Linus Ullmark's leave of absence from the team. Maybe we'll get him to plug his book, Black Aces, that's coming out in about a week now. Very exciting for our friend Julian. But before all that, let's bring in Sean Gentili. What's up? Do you have a book coming out soon? Do you want to plug any of your projects?
I don't. I don't appreciate the implication. Everybody else has a book coming out. Julian, maybe the other person on this podcast.
I'm not actively writing a book at this moment.
that's okay. You're very, very sneaky. I'm just trying. I don't know. I'm just hosting the show, trying not to get replaced by Jackson LaCombe,
which is apparently always an option if Bill Guerin has anything to do with it. As we all know, NHLers are returning to the Olympics for the first time since 2014, but some players, it's very sad. Some players have been waiting for this chance.
Yeah.
Now dealing with injuries at like the worst possible time. Timing is getting short. The NHL shutting down after February 5th. But as you mentioned, Sean, let's start with the big one. Seth Jones, he's officially out for Team USA. He has not played since January 2nd. Anaheim Ducks defender Jackson LaCombe has been named to the team as a replacement. Rising star through USA Hockey, 25 years old, 6'2", 208 pounds, like all these things going in the right direction for Jackson LaCombe, but still a lot of people very upset and surprised that it wasn't Lane Hutson. What do you think, Sean?
I do want to talk about Seth Jones just for 1 second. Everybody can feel good about the fact that he won a Stanley Cup last year. Like, if the Panthers don't get that done, say there's like an alternate universe where the Panthers trade for Seth Jones, don't win the Stanley Cup, then the season starts and Seth Jones, gets hit by a shot in his upper body during the Winter Classic and misses out on the Olympics, we would be talking about one of the all-time bad luck runs for anybody, because Seth Jones has been a good player for a long time. USA Hockey loves him. He's a good guy. He's spoken at length about how important it is for him to play meaningful games, right? Whether it's in the Stanley Cup playoffs or in the Olympics, and he hadn't really had the chance. I'm glad that he's got that Stanley Cup ring in his back pocket, because if he wouldn't have, I think yesterday's news would have been even more depressing for him. On the replacement side of things, man, The dialogue surrounding Lane Hutson is always wild. I feel bad to some extent for Jackson LaCombe, because he's getting caught in some of the crossfire here, right? He's a really good player on his own right. Obviously, replacing Seth Jones, he was Billy Guerin's pick. We can talk about the merits of Lane Hutson. He's an incredible player, but I think what we need to do before any of that is laid down the fact that Jackson LaCombe is really, really good. And this is a second round pick who's like shot up in everybody's estimation over the last couple years. I think he pays for playing in Anaheim. I think he gets dinged in the public eye to some extent for that. But I'm not surprised by this. He played at Worlds last year. He's having another really, really good season. I talked to people about him after last season. He's one of those guys that scouts and analytics departments agree on. You know what? I had a scout that I trust tell me over the summer, I don't want you to think they're the same player, but Jake Sanderson and Jackson LaCombe are a lot closer than you think. I mean, that's a pretty solid, a pretty solid recommendation. So I think it does start there to some extent, right? Like we need to lay down the facts and say that Jackson LaCombe is a pretty good player in his own right before we have the Lane Hutson discussion.
Well, I don't think anyone's saying Jackson LaCombe is bad.
No, people absolutely are. They're not bad.
Well, those aren't people who are sharing like opinions based in fact.
I think
player.
I think it's because it involves Lane Hutson, who's such an aesthetically pleasing player who plays for a marquee team with a gigantic fan base, who's on the in the team itself is obviously on the upswing. I think and also Lane Hutson to some degree has been disrespected over the last couple of years, whether it is by Team USA or whoever else. So I think there is like this underlying tone to Lane Hutson discourse on the internet that leads people to stake out even particularly irrational positions. But man, I think when you look at it a little bit deeper, is Lane Hutson's ceilings higher than Jackson LaCombe's? Like, absolutely. 10 years from now,
but we're also talking about an injury replacement for Seth Jones. We're not talking about replacing Quinn Hughes.
That's right.
With Jackson LaCombe. Like, to play the devil's advocate, we are seeing like one player out and a player with a similar build or playing style or a similar puzzle piece being put in the lineup instead. So if the reasons why, like, and look, so I understand if you're a USA Hockey fan and you took issue with the Seth Jones selection in and of itself because you wanted more skill on the back end or whatever, then sure, you're going to be upset again because it's like, well, you had a chance to correct this wrong and bring in another skilled player because you need to score goals at the Olympics. I get it, I do, but like this is very clearly Bill Guerin and the USA Hockey Brain Trust saying, okay, we need to get some more like size and defense and two-way ability in with what we lost in Seth Jones. And Jackson LaCombe checks that box. Like, he and Lane Hutson are very different players. Lane Hutson is the more like offensively dynamic, skilled guy. But that's clearly not what they were looking for in this injury replacement or in that roster spot in the first place, having selected Seth Jones.
Yeah, and I don't mean to slag Lane Hutson either. The dude has a plus 12 net rating, right? Like, he is a Norris candidate this year.
No one's slagging anyone. It's just this is what Bill Guerin wanted to do.
That is a fact. Lane Hutson, and he's a better defensive player this year than last. So
yeah, all
credit to him. But when you look at it, and Hailey, you said this, I mean, Jackson LaCombe 6'2". I think that makes him alone, an unattractive candidate for Bill Guerin in Team USA. But there's certain things under the hood where that make this decision make even more sense. Like Lane Hutson, he allows tons and tons of zone entries. This is according to Corey Snyder's zone tracking data. Tons of zone entries on Lane Hutson. Now, does he prevent goals at a disproportionate rate despite those zone entries against him? Absolutely. But teams are getting chances against him, right? And he is, whether he's good at mitigating that risk factor that's part of his game, but opponents are gaining the zone against him at a really, really high rate. Not the case with Jackson LaCombe. Jackson LaCombe, elite at puck retrievals and elite at zone exits. Right. Like, these are the kind of things when you're talking about it, like maybe a third pair in an international tournament. I think these are things that are attractive. And Jackson LaCombe, again, his production maybe is a bit down from last season, but this is a guy who's shown some real like high-end skating ability, high-end, it projects as a guy who's maybe not going to be a Lane Hutson level producer down the line, but close enough to it. I mean, this is a really, really good player. And I think you can pretty fairly and pretty convincingly argue that he's, certainly a viable choice, given what Guerin was faced with. This is not leaving Adam Fox off the roster entirely. This is not, disrespecting Jason Robertson to some degree. This of all the controversial Bill Guerin decisions, this is the one to me that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I feel like I agree with you. I didn't have a huge problem with it again because I didn't see a world in which Bill Guerin was going to say, okay, never mind, let's actually go get some skill instead. Like, when it's Seth Jones going out, you think they're going to go and grab a comparable guy, and Jackson LaCombe hits those marks, and he's a guy who's like been in the USA Hockey space for a while.
Played
too.
at Worlds last year.
And that matters. He had 2 goals at last year's World Championships, 1 gold for the first time in a long time. Like, that kind of stuff matters to USA Hockey. He's been there, done that. And in a way, he's only 25 years old, and he's been like a rising star through the American hockey ranks. So you can take issue and we can debate whether or not they should be going for more skill on the blue line. Sure, I think that's a totally different debate than the one we're having here, because it's like very clear what they were trying to do.
And if Quinn Hughes or Zach Werenski gets hurt tomorrow, then we can have the Lane Hutson discussion. But for now, this makes enough sense.
Yeah, not to play devil's advocate for Bill Guerin, because I thought the Adam Fox cut sucked.
Not
Justice
interested
for
in doing
Jason
that,
Robertson.
but yeah.
But in the Jackson LaCombe case, I'm like,
He's
yeah,
pretty
I see
good.
the vision. I get
He's
it.
pretty good. It makes sense.
Okay, very quickly before we move on and we get to Julian McKenzie, he's going to join us here shortly. Are we worried for Team Sweden?
I think we're past the point of being worried. I'm gonna like do a 23andMe and see if I have some Swedish ancestry. Maybe they'll give me a call. Can I get a passport in time for this? Like maybe I could be on the team. This is
so
incredible.
Here's some of the injury list. It's Jonas Brodin, Minnesota Wild D, Leo Carlsson, superstar young Duck center, Joel Eriksson Ek, which Russo did say he should be ready in time for the tournament, but still, like this is just the name. These are the list of players who are currently hurt right now: Victor Hedman, Erik Karlsson, Gabriel Landeskog. Oh, hey, William Nylander's. What is it? His hip or his groin's hurting him again?
It's a groin thing. There was a problem earlier in the season and is now puffed back up. That is not trending positively for them or the Leafs.
Oliver Ekman-Larsson, he left last night. So that's a brand new one on the Swedish injury list. It's a good thing they have like depth and players that there were some like maybe egregious, according to fans, snubs. So maybe now we'll see
Simon Edvinsson, come on down.
Olympics. Yeah. But
who they can't replace? Leo Carlsson.
William Nylander.
Like I see the defensive depth. I think you can plug in guys like Edvinsson and Hampus Lindholm and Matthias Ekholm potentially. Like they have guys on the blue line if it comes to that. But Leo Carlsson was one of the early season. Like he was playing at an MVP level for the first huge 35 games for the Anaheim Ducks. He was fantastic. Yeah. And then he had a thigh injury that I think was, nagging him that he ended up having a procedure on. So he might be out. The idea of Leo Carlsson not being in the Ducks lineup, that's a huge issue. His lack of and his production had dipped before the procedure too. So I think that's a big part of the reason we've seen the Ducks take a tumble down the standings. But I think the idea of adding Leo Carlsson, who profiles as that like number one two-way high end productive center, to the Swedish lineup, that was the thing that they were missing. That was the piece that they'd missed for the last couple generations of international hockey, even at Four Nations, right? So the fact that he'd made that leap as a 20-year-old player is what made them super duper interesting to me. We knew they had the blue line, we knew they had guys like Nylander and whoever else, but the idea that you had that young, alpha dog kind of dude at the top of the lineup is what really made them scary and what should have made them a legit gold medal candidate. Now it seems like they're hopeful to some degree that he's going to be back, but
no,
timeline's not.
Leo Carlsson, no, they're not. They're not. That's the update that I was going to share.
Great.
The Swedish head coach says that Brodin and Carlsson are unlikely to play for Team Sweden at the Olympics. He said this on Tuesday afternoon, I believe. He said, we'll give it a few more days
I did.
to see if anything extraordinary happens. But we are currently operating under the assumption that they will not be playing at the Olympics.
Yeah, and that's
just a huge, huge blow for Sweden. It looks like Hedman has been back on the ice, according to this update. Still hasn't played.
He hasn't played since December 9th. He had surgery on his elbow. Like these are not minor things. Even the guys that are coming back, even the guys that they expect back, Gabriel Landeskog, players like that, they're coming back from serious injuries. These aren't just minor things, whether they're in the lineup or not. So yeah, I think, to me, it takes Sweden out. You can't remove them from the discussion, but I think they go from being a truly, truly viable threat to, something wild would need to happen for them to be on top when all's said and done, and it's disappointing.
Yeah, I could have seen a Sweden-Canada
completely
Olympic gold medal game, but now maybe it'll be Canada versus Finland or something. Not Canada, USA.
Canada
Not
versus
for the men, at least.
Canada versus Italy. Yes.
Who's to say? That would be great for me. Throw Spain in there. All of my heritage.
I'm anti-Italy. I'm anti-Italy for this tournament because Frankie Corrado's not not part of the mix.
He'll be at home with his popcorn instead of the press box.
By his choice.
Sorry, Frankie. That was rude. That joke's not funny. All right, let's take a break. We got to get to Julian McKenzie. He's going to join us next to chat a bit about the Ottawa Senators. That's coming up next on the Athletic Hockey Show. Before we get back to the show, you listen to us now. We want to hear from you. We're asking you to fill out a quick survey about you and your podcast habits by going to theathletic.com/survey26. 3 lucky entries will win a $100 Amazon gift card too. So whether you're a longtime listener or a new one, we want your feedback. Go to theathletic.com/survey26. That's theathletic.com/survey26. The link is also in our episode description. All right, we are back on the Athletic Hockey Show, and our friend Julian McKenzie joins us now to chat a bit about the Ottawa Senators. He's got a book coming out too. Sean doesn't have a book coming out.
It's been established, yes, I don't know, but I do not have a book coming out.
So we have to bring Julian in to talk a bit about that. But first, what's up, dude? How's it going? You're in Nashville right now?
Yeah, I'm in Nashville right now. The Sens are going to play against the Preds on Thursday night, so I'm there for that game. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Good to see you guys.
Yeah. Do you like Nashville? That's like, I'm just like, who cares about me? I need to know what you think about Broadway.
I like it. The last
I've seen Julian in action on that. He likes Nashville.
Julian rip it up at Tootsie's on the rooftop.
Yeah. Tootsie's is a really good time. That's as much as I'm willing to say on Tootsie's. I do like Nashville. I had a great time at the draft a couple of years ago with you guys, and yeah, it's good to be back. I'm really enjoying the city.
So my Tootsie's story is one of the reasons why Dom Luszczyszyn and I are no longer friends. We are professional colleagues. So Dan Robson shows up at Tootsie's.
Yeah.
And he has this cowboy hat that a friend made for him for free. And he's like, do you want this cowboy hat? And I said, yes, I do. I would love it. I'm wearing this cowboy hat. I'm in my element. I'm finally enjoying Nashville. Dom comes up and says, where did you get this hat? He grabs it and he drops it off the roof. By mistake. Cowboy hat's gone. I'm pissed.
I honestly don't think I knew that.
Oh my God! Did you?
I don't really remember
Dom
that happening.
just kind of threw my cowboy hat off the roof and was
I have a question about that hat.
He walked away and forgot. You know
what color was that hat?
It was black.
Because
it was very cool. Did you find one on the street? Do you have my hat?
I don't know. Well, I'm wondering about that because Dan Robson. Because Dan Robson gave me this black hat he wore. Like, I don't know if it was at Tootsie's, but he was wearing this hat. He gave me this hat.
And did you get it back to him at some point?
No, he let me have it. I have the hat.
He must have had 2 hats.
Robson just carries around a suitcase of black cowboy hats wherever he goes. The world's sweetest man, Dan Robson.
So, like, that hat, that was like, I don't remember if that was like my first year in Calgary at that point, but like I had that, it was the first year because
you worked the Stampede and stuff. You have my hat.
Yeah, and I left it in Alberta because I have a few cousins who live there, and I gave it to my cousin as like.
And you were like, I don't need this in Ottawa.
I don't need this anymore.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
That's hilarious. Yeah, my cousin has that hat. He must have
had 2 hats, or
it has to be.
Or Dom didn't throw it off
Julian.
the roof.
It was Julian standing on the street below the top floor at Tootsie's, and a cowboy hat falls perfectly on his head. Hey, free hat. Okay.
Oh my God. Or I don't know. I just remember.
Wow,
Dan
I'm so glad I told that story. I had an intrusive thought that said, "You must talk about this cowboy hat right now." And halfway through, I was like, "Why am I doing this? I'm derailing the whole show." And now I'm really glad that we did this.
And now the hat is in Calgary, Alberta.
Where it belongs, honestly.
It's rightful home.
Yeah. I never wore a cowboy hat to the Stampede, but I did wear fringe.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyways.
I'm not a fringe guy for Stampede, but I did enjoy the times I got to wear a cowboy hat at Stampede. Those were good times.
I love that for you. Okay, I'll get it on the rails. I apologize, everyone. Even though I think the sisterhood of the traveling cowboy hat is incredible. I love this for us. You, me, and Dan Robson, and kind of Dom, united forever. All right, let's get to the big news of the week. in Ottawa, Julian. Linus Ullmark revealed that he took a personal leave from the Ottawa Senators for mental health reasons in an interview with TSN's Claire Hanna. It's a great sit down. Claire did an excellent job with a very difficult and personal subject. So I do recommend everyone take a look at that. Julian also wrote a story about this. So you can take a look at that as well at theathletic.com. Normally, I would say people or media members at least are very good at keeping people's personal lives private when it's a leave of absence like this. But because of the rumors that happened on social media, because of the Ottawa Senators' statement, everything became very public, which led to Ullmark coming out and speaking about everything. So Julian, just boots on the ground, you're around the team all the time, you're in Ottawa. How has all this been received since he came out and spoke, and just what have the last couple weeks been like in Sens land for you?
It's been a little while to measure all of this, right? I think from the players' standpoint, at least from the ones I've spoken to about the statement and how they received Linus since he's come back around them in the dressing room, it seems like he's been well received. A couple guys have told me that when they saw him for the first time after his leave, they hugged him, they gave him words of support. And with the statement, guys like Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk were among the first to say it was good on the part of the Senators to put that out there. That being said, you step out of the dressing room and you look at the team as a whole, and you look at their place in the standings, and the fact that since that leave from for Linus Ullmark, this team has kind of been free falling a little bit.
Yeah.
They've been slowly lately. I think the way they played against Columbus, they've tried to put themselves back on track. They also got a point against Detroit and against Montreal the last couple of games too. But we're talking about a team that they had a 76% chance of making the playoffs in late December, and they've plummeted since. And when you combine that with the fact that their goaltender is on leave, and the statement that came out, and the craziness that ensued online around that, and the talk around this team, I would say that there's been some tense times around this team. This team is hopefully for themselves, they're trying to get out of that tense time, but I have to say, just like the mood around this team, it's been antsy. This is not the situation the Senators expected to be in at all, where Leevi Meriläinen, who earned the backup role for this team with the way that he played last year, is likely going to be number 3 from here on out, with James Reimer holding the fort. And you could make the argument that a goalie of James Reimer's caliber should have been signed as a tweener much earlier in the season, but the Senators are in the spot that they're in right now. And even when Linus Ullmark comes back, I think a lot of people in Ottawa are obviously going to be happy for him, and I think him being able to talk that honestly about his feelings, he deserves some credit for that. He deserves all the credit, I think, for being able to speak honestly and speak bravely. But once that applause ends, that ovation ends, everyone's going to look at him and say, hey, are you going to do enough to get this team back in the playoffs? This is still a goaltender he was in the top 3 in the worst goals saved above expected. There's a lot of pressure riding on the goaltending position to help the Senators get themselves back in the playoffs, or else they're entering a doomsday scenario where they miss the playoffs and they don't have a first round pick. It's a pretty tense time, I would say.
Yeah, it's difficult because everyone, wants to give Linus Ullmark the space to take care of himself. I listened to the interview, I read the quotes, and I'm happy that he has taken that time and that he felt ready to go and take that leave, and he's getting the help that he feels that he needs, because I don't know. And then just to know that there's all these rumors going around, well, this is someone who is dealing with mental health issues, it just makes the whole situation even worse. It's just very difficult to imagine what Linus Ullmark is going through. But then, of course, once he does return, it probably will turn a little bit quicker to the okay, now that you're back, what are you doing for me lately? And if he is ready to return, whenever he feels comfortable to do so, I just hope that he's okay, and the like pressure that comes with it like doesn't make it worse for him, if that makes sense. Like that's where my mind goes, is like this is someone who's dealing with mental health issues and he's gonna come back to play eventually, and the like anxiety and the stressors and the pressure is gonna be like almost even worse. So I just feel for Linus Ullmark and hope that he's okay. Sean, you had something to say though. I'm sorry.
The added layer of unfortunateness is Meriläinen's play. I mean, he's 11 games since Ullmark left the lineup. Meriläinen's 4-6-1. He's got an .847 save percentage and nearly 9 goals saved below expected, which is only behind Jonathan Quick in that time frame. And we know what we've seen from Quick and the Rangers since Shesterkin left the lineup. So I think that's been it seems like from the outside, two things. It's been an exacerbating factor for the overall circumstances surrounding Ullmark and surrounding the Sens is this goaltender play. And also it seems like it kind of is, it seems like the primary issue at hand is that they're not getting, particularly competent play from Meriläinen, who, by the way, started with 10 straight games or something. Like he's overworked now on top of not playing well. So I'm just wondering, Julian, like from your perspective, from me, someone who doesn't necessarily watch the Ottawa Senators every night, I'm just like, oh, this is a team that's getting a run of poor goaltending play at kind of the worst possible time. And that's the main factor, in them losing 6 of their last 9 or whatever it is. Is that how you see it in your purview? Are there other things on ice that are going wrong with this team aside from the goaltender play, or is that, at the top, truly at the top of the list by itself in terms of factors that are at play here?
I understand if this isn't the best way to describe it, but I think up until now, whatever issues popped up for the Ottawa Senators is kind of felt like a game of whack-a-mole, where at one point there was an issue with them scoring at 5-on-5. That's supposed to be a strength of theirs. At one point there was an issue with them on the power play. Another point, actually, one other thing that's been kind of dominant throughout this season is their penalty kill, which is among the worst in the league, particularly on the road. But underlying all of that was the goaltending. You go back to the beginning of the season training camp, where Linus Ullmark expresses that he's not at his standard, and he literally says, like, on day 2 of training camp that he had a terrible showing, and there are some things that might need to be worked out for next season between him and goaltending coach Justin Peters. Leevi Meriläinen, since training camp, since preseason, also wasn't at his 100% best. His first game of the year is a bad game against Buffalo, and then he gets sent down to the AHL just to kind of get his confidence back. Like, the goaltending, it's been a season-long problem for the Ottawa Senators. There have been points where both of those goaltenders had moments where they were seemingly getting themselves back on the right track, but these last few weeks have really shown that if this team had average level goaltending or anything close to that, they would be in a much different spot compared to being near the bottom of the Eastern Conference. You look at their team save percentage, it's been at the bottom for most of this season. And I'll give a shout out to my colleague Callum Fraser from Post Media, who's tweeted about this for the last couple of days. But we're not just talking about a team goaltending performance that's bad for this season. You can go back the last 30 years.
Yeah,
it ranks among the worst that we've seen in the league. Like, the Senators, this is not a stretch of play of 5-10 games where everything's gone bad at goaltending. This is a season-long problem. And if the Sens miss the playoffs this year, we are going to point to that position that was supposed to be of strength as a major weakness, as a major reason why this team didn't get the job done.
And this is not like I covered the Ottawa Senators, 6-7 years ago now, 5 years ago now, I don't know. These were the issues that I was writing about when I covered the Ottawa Senators.
Is crazy.
So this is just like Groundhog Day in a market that has not been able to find any goalie stability since Craig Anderson left his prime.
Yep.
Like, the amount of goalie churn here's our savior. This guy's our savior. Here's the young stud. All of them are gone now, like, and maybe thriving in other markets. So I just think like the ability to like retain top goaltenders, find top goaltenders, it has not been good. Like Linus Ullmark was going to be the guy. And he said in the Claire Hannah interview, like he's been struggling since the trade. And that's something that we like hear from players who struggle post trades, or you hear from athletes saying like, we don't know what goes through these people's minds or what's going on in their lives when they're traded. Like it's very difficult for these people to be traded. And Linus Ullmark said he's been struggling since getting traded from Boston. So I just think this is another year in which the Sens haven't been able to figure it out between the pipes, and it's not a new problem. And again, it's just like, I just feel like they've historically just picked the wrong guy. And it's easy to sit here now and in hindsight and be like, maybe you shouldn't have given up on Philip Gustafsson, who's going to start for Sweden at the Olympics. Or maybe Joey Decord was worth keeping around. I'm not going to go to bat for like Anton Forsberg and Philip Grubauer. Just fine, you know. But like the Gustafsson, the Gustafsson one's been like a sore spot.
You're absolutely
for
right.
a little while. It's tough.
The one thing I'll just say though is like, the Senators made the trade for a Vezina winner. They didn't open a mystery box. They didn't open a mystery box and say, okay, well, this guy might be good. We're gonna take a chance.
I would agree with that now, for sure.
For sure. I like, and hey, you could say like, hey, you know what? Linus Ullmark was in a tandem situation with Jeremy Swayman and all of that, and there understandably are questions. I'm not saying there shouldn't be questions about whether or not he should have been the right guy. My ultimate point is that in spite of all the goaltending issues, the Senators, I can understand why they would go to a guy like Linus Ullmark in that spot. He had a pedigree behind him from his days in Boston that should have made him the answer. And right now, it hasn't looked like that.
Yeah,
I think the issue is Leevi Meriläinen.
Well, no, and I was going to say, like, I gave the Senators a lot of credit for, like, when they made the Ullmark trade, of them just being like, we're done with this back and forth. Like, we can't find a goaltender stuff. So they deserve a lot of credit for going out and making the trade for the guy. It just hasn't worked out that way for, you know, a number of reasons that we still don't even completely understand if we're thinking about Linus Ullmark.
Right.
Let's ask one more question. Sorry to cut you off, Sean. We don't have that much time with Julian. I want to ask one more question about Brady Tkachuk. We were talking about Team USA off the top. Let's ask about Brady now. I think like his brother Matthew just played his first game. The Tkachuks have obviously been a big topic. They were at Four Nations. They're going to be at the Olympics. So what can American fans expect from Brady in Milan? Where is his game at right now?
I think for Brady, once he gets that opportunity to play with his brother, to play in some meaningful Team USA games, you're going to see a barreling power forward. Very curious to see how that will play out on much smaller ice conditions compared to what we normally expect for the Olympic-sized rinks. I know, obviously, with his hand, that's been a point. That's been an issue. Obviously, he was gone for 20 games earlier this year. He comes back. He's been very mindful of that. Not that he would have been able to fight anyway at the Olympic level, but clearly that's something that kind of adds to his edge at the NHL level. I think for Brady, I think what you'll see from him is someone who will try to find a way to still impose himself, still be a bully at the Olympic level against other smaller players if he can. There's a reason why Ottawa Senators fans love him. There's a reason why the Sens obviously take pride in having him at the top of their lineup because of the fact that he's been such a solid power forward. And just these last couple games, though, I do think that he maybe has been thinking about that thumb, just trying to make himself not be too hurt. And I think just some of that edge, it doesn't show itself nearly as frequently compared to when he is 100% and he is healthy. But I think Americans shouldn't be too worried once he's in the lineup for them.
All right, Julian, we teed it up off the top of the show. You have a book coming out. This is very exciting. It's called Black Aces. It comes out on February 3rd with Triumph. Do you want to give us a little plug?
Didn't realize it was that soon. Holy cow.
It's set next week. You don't listen. It's crazy.
Just don't think of February as being next week. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is kind of upsetting. Well, I guess next week's not. Is it February next week?
It's
I don't know. Comes out on February 3rd.
It's like 10
talked
days.
to Sarah Nurse, PK Subban, Anson Carter. It's an essential collection of stories from Black hockey players, personalities, and people. Julian, is there anything you want to say about your book before we let you go?
I've seen a lot of people show off the copies that they've gotten already. A lot of people have been pre-ordering, and these books have been coming in early, so it should be available for everyone on February 3rd. But if you have a copy already, thank you. Very appreciative of that. I hope people enjoy the stories that have been told. I took a lot of pleasure in chatting to some of the best hockey players in the world, and Jerome McGinley or PK or Sarah Nurse.
Did you talk to her dad, Roger?
I didn't get a chance to talk to her dad, Roger, and I really should have.
You should have. He's my friend.
I should have. I honestly should have done that. But I do think that Sarah on her own was absolutely incredible. Going through her life story and up until where she is now, and being a success in the PWHL and obviously her Olympic success too, and getting other people around the league to talk about her as well. That I thought that was really cool. I'm really glad I was able to spend that time and talk to her, but also people like Dante Abercrombie, who will be trying to head the first men's hockey program at a historically Black college or university, or Kelsey Kozler, who got drafted first overall in the NWHL draft and is doing a great job at Arcadia University as a head coach as well. And then, of course, people like Willie O'Ree and Herb Carnegie and a whole bunch of other different players through the years getting profiled. I hope people enjoy it, and I hope people read it.
That's awesome. I can't wait. I'm going to have to buy a copy.
Yeah, I got to find a way to get you a copy, man.
I'd like to be sent a copy.
Yeah, we got to find a way to get you guys some copies, man. I want you guys reading the book.
Free stuff. Let's go.
Yeah, we got to do that.
I got Craig to send Sean a copy of his book last year with an
Have you ever said this? Have you ever said this on the pod before? I don't think so.
I don't know if I have.
I
coordinated with Craig to send Sean a copy of his book with like an autograph on it, and it said like, what did it say? Like, to Sean, dream big, like from Craig Custance. Very formal, very dream big kid, and it was the funniest thing
reach
I've
for
ever
the
done.
stars.
Yeah. One day,
Love
Sean,
Craig
you'll
Custance.
get it. You'll get it, Sean. I believe in you.
No,
buddy.
I think the peak of my career, and possibly of my life, is getting a signed book from Craig.
Well, you're about to get a signed book from Julian McKenzie. Julian, I'll hit you up with
appreciate that a lot more.
Mailing address, and we'll come up with like a funny thing you can sign it for. This is my favorite bit, is getting people to send Sean books.
Having my friends send me books with very insincere inscriptions in them. Yeah, let's go.
Reach for the stars. I can't Love wait to Julian McKenzie.
I can't wait to continue this tradition. I would be honored.
It's great.
It will occupy a place of prominence in my home, and then I can't wait to read it.
As Sean's manager, I'll send you his PO box later, Julian.
Please, right. yes. We'll make sure that happens.
It's 122 Boogie Woogie Avenue. All right, we're going to take one more break, then we're out of here. Julian, thank you so much. Congrats on the book. Can't wait to read it. I hope my copy's in the mail. We'll be right back.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right, we're back. Yesterday was a good day on the website, as it always is when the PWHL player poll dropped. Hailey, that's all you. You got more than 50 players. I think was it 51 the total here?
It was like over a quarter of the league.
That's a much better way to frame it. Like 50 is impressive, but a quarter of the league is next level stuff. And you asked them, of course. You asked them the obvious burning topics: best player, most underrated player, expansion questions.
Yeah.
I think I know where you're going to go here, but what was your favorite question to ask, and which one do you think got the best responses?
Okay, so my favorite question.
Trash talker.
No, it actually ended up being like, what's your favorite comfort TV show?
Oh,
and that was the one where I so badly wish that I would have asked a couple players to like lift their anonymity, because it makes it even funnier to know like who's saying these things. One player said that they've just been crushing Downton Abbey, and there's just something really funny about, a younger female watching.
I really wish you could
show.
spill. I really wish you could spill who gave these answers.
And then there was also one player who just like deadpan, and this was like the funniest interaction I had. Because like whatever, we have all these questions. One of them was like, "What's the worst arena? What's the biggest issue in the sport?" So we wanted to end the poll with like a light one. What's your favorite comfort TV show? You're away from the rink. What are you reaching for? And this player just looks me dead in the eye and goes, "Young Sheldon." And then we were both silent for like 5 seconds. And then we both started laughing. Like the recording of it was very funny. And she was just like, "I bleep and love that show, man." And I was just like, okay, love that for you. Like that's my mom's favorite show as well. So
did you ask her for her thoughts on the greater Big Bang Theory expanded universe?
No,
Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, all the shows that have come out of that stupid show, or is she just young Sheldon?
I was just so taken aback by her saying young Sheldon, and that was like really the last question of the poll too. So we just kind of laughed, and I was like, "All right, well, thanks."
You should also you should specify too. This was kind of a long-term project for you, and you didn't get a lot of these responses before heated rivalry frenzy took over.
Yeah, that's true.
Over the holidays. I feel like we probably would have gotten some different answers if we would have asked.
For sure. We started doing this in September and then wrapped in January, and then it posted now. But so when I first started, a lot of players just like watching like the trending TV shows. So there was a lot of like The Summer I Turned Pretty, binge watches going on, or whatever like Netflix documentary had come out at that time. One player just like loves to watch Dirty Dancing all of the time. But anyways, that one was funny because it was just like a kind of funny personality thing. But Trash Talk was a really fun one to do too, Sean. I know you mentioned that. Last time I did this poll, Abby Rock was like the runaway winner. Everyone was saying her. She's the most annoying to play against. She runs her mouth. Now, 2 years into the PWHL, Emma Malte technically won. Mm-hmm. However, one player did write in a -1 point for Emma Malte. So if we take that into consideration, it's a tie. But Malte and Abby Rock were the number 1 and 2. And Emma, if you've ever watched any of the mic'd ups, I should have linked it in the story, because anytime she's mic'd up on CBC, we have a ton of content to choose from because she is always talking. And Emma, on the record, I asked her about this, like, "Hey, you're winning the trash talk battle right now. Do you have anything to say for yourself?" And she was like, "I'm not trash talking. I'm just yapping." And that is what most players would say about Emma Malte as well.
Like a Pomeranian or something, yes.
Well, she's 5'2". She's very small, very nice, but I guess she gets on the ice and she just doesn't stop talking. So that's what a lot of the players were saying as well, is like, it's not really the quality of what Malte's saying, it's just the quantity in which she does it. So the trash talk one's always really funny.
Which question got the answers that are the most important for fans rating this? Like what set of responses do you think they should look at most closely?
The runaway win for Poulin as the best player in the PWHL stands out. Like we all know it, but when I did this poll a couple years ago, there was a lot more Americans specifically who thought like Hillary Knight should be there, or people picking like goalies. And to be fair, the question was phrased a little differently that time. It was like, if the PWHL exists, who are you taking first overall? So some players were like, well, maybe I'll go for a goalie because Anne-Renee Desbien's better than anyone on the planet. So let me go there. But this time around, like 80% of the vote, everyone was saying Poulin. So there really isn't that much of a debate. She's really run away with that. So that's important if you're like a Canadian fan and you're nervous about the Olympics because of rivalry series. Like, you're probably okay because Canada has the best player on the planet on their team. And then I think best breakout player was probably a pretty important one too. Hannah Bilka won that one, and that's another player who will be important at the Olympics. She'll have a top 6 role on Team USA. She'll play on the power play. She's healthy. She was cut from the last World Championship team. So I think we're going to see like a healthy and rejuvenated Hannah Bilka. She's got a ton of skill. If you see her on the line with like Abby Murphy and Taylor Heisey, they're just going to go to town in the offensive zone. So those were big ones. Also asked about like where do you want the league to expand next? And kind of the usual suspects one out there, Detroit, Denver, Chicago were the top 3. And then a lot of players said like kind of goofy, like let's go to Nashville or let's go to Florida. Like I would like to have a nice...
Hockey players love Nashville. Hockey players love Florida.
I'd like to have a nice warm vibe on a road trip in the middle of February. And we should say, because I did get some comments on this most of this poll was completed before the DC showcase.
It's relevant.
So I do think if I would have started asking players after that, we would have gotten more from more love for DC. And,
it's interesting.
DC's going to be a super interesting option for PWHL expansion. So those are the big ones, Sean.
There's 3 separate stories up on the site. I always love reading these, man. I'm a sucker for an anonymous poll, whether it's NHL players or PW players or whatever. So, yep, it's worth everybody's time.
All right. Well, thanks, Sean. Thanks for the plug. 7 games in the NHL tonight. The next episode of the Athletic Hockey Show is Monday, but on Sunday, look out for a special drop here on the Athletic Hockey Show feed. We're sharing an exclusive interview with Brady Tkachuk, who recently sat down with Pierre LeBrun for a special segment on The Athletic Show. That's The Athletic's weekly sports show airing on Amazon Fire and YouTube. Check it out and stay tuned Sunday on our feed, wherever you get your podcasts. For that interview, thanks everyone for listening to this episode. Sean and I will be back next Thursday.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell to stay informed and catch new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And in the meantime, you can join our Discord community. We'll see you there.